The sun had started setting in the east as Frodo opened his eyes again. It had been barely a week since he and Sam had left their friends at Amon Hen and crossed the Great Lake into the ragged peaks of the Emin Muil. Now he found himself in a dreadful landscape, with an even more dreadful guide. They had rested during the peak hours of the sun, for their own safety, and perhaps for Gollum's comfort. He did not like the yellow face, as he called it. As dusk neared, lights began moving around them in the marsh. Sam had almost thought he went mad, but Gollum confirmed what he saw was real, and that they were treacherous. As soon as Gollum finished speaking, Sam noticed his master had wandered off. Frodo had lagged behind, and was found staring at one of the candles near by the water's edge. Sam snapped him out of his trance. Then he saw them. Dead faces in the marsh.
The dead marshes, yes, that is their name,
cackled Gollum. Soldiers from a battle long past stared at them as they moved through the reeds, until a terrible shriek and wind tore the fog apart. The next day they reached the end of the marshes, where they slowly dried away into a dead peat and cracked mud. Ahead, the land continues in shallow slopes towards the Black Gate. Through this pathless no man's land they tread for 2 more days, until they finally reach the desolation. A land so defiled that not even small brown shrubs of the no man's land would grow there. The slag piles around them belched fumes which choked them. They found rest in a small pit before moving closer to the gate. From the edge of a small rocky hollow, they saw the Morannon, the Black Gate of Mordor. Here, the 2 mountain ranges of the Apel Duath and the Ered Lithui met in a great black iron gate. On both sides of the gate stood a tower, Narghost and Garghost, the towers of the teeth. Below the mountains many holes were dug, which housed whatever servants the Dark Lord saw fit to put there. As the Easterling armies marched across the plain towards the Black Gate, it was clear there was no way to enter Mordor here unseen. Not with every watching eye of the tower spying the ways below. After some debate, Frodo decides to trust Gollum and take his alternative path through the pass of Cirith Ungol. Southward they crept through the stony landscape, keeping the road to their left and ever mindful of the watchful red windows of the Narghost. Soon, the land gave way to a more pleasant heath full of pine trees. After the next rest, Gollum dared take the hobbits along the great road running through the land, which the men of Gondor knew as Ithilien. Its straight line, with cuttings through the hills and bridges over the streams, revealed it to be a work of men made long ago. At the end of one of these cuttings, the travelers left the road to look for shelter in the daylight hours. A small stream crossed the road and was collected into an old stone, man-made basin before it sprang off again towards the river. Here they parched their thirst, while Sam studies the abundance of wild herbs growing in the area. Though soon he came across a circle of burned trees, filled with bones and evil marks. A stark reminder that they were not at all safe in these lands, though they may have seemed that way. On a nearby bed of fern, they would rest for the day. While Frodo had already given up hope on the return journey, Sam felt they might try to save most of their elvish waybread for tougher days. He asked Gollum to try and hunt something edible for them, and soon the creature came back with 2 young rabbits. Sam begins preparing a stew, likely the first proper food they have had in over a week. However, while looking for herbs, his neat, dry fire begins to smoke, attracting unwanted eyes. The Lord of the Rings Online, or LOTRO, is an MMORPG released in 2007, and remains, in my humble opinion, one of the best adaptations of Tolkien's world. In this video, I will try to show you the hidden or not so hidden details that make the world of LOTRO so immersive and lively. The realm of Gondor has withstood the first hasty blow of Sauron's hand, but they have no hope of withstanding a longer conflict. Aragorn has decided to meet the enemy head-on to buy Frodo precious time. Time, which is desperately needed. Aragorn has sent you out to recruit willing soldiers for the march towards the Black Gate. Together with King Eomer, you managed to recruit about 2,000. This, together with 4,000 Rohirrim and another 3,500 soldiers from the southern fiefdoms of Gondor, is enough to assemble a host. You patrol the outer walls looking for any remaining foes, and recruit some trumpeteers, who will loudly announce the coming of the King of Gondor as you travel towards the Black Gate. You travel through a devastated Osgiliath, which is still crawling with dispersed orcs. Here you reunite with Mablung, one of the rangers of Ithilien. You search the destroyed city for supplies, and aided by the sons of Elrond, you help clear some of the remaining enemies. On the banks of the river you find the remains of orcs who have fled the battlefield, drowned in the Anduin. You also meet up with Pippin, who has joined the host as the representative of his race, though for now he does not feel quite as heroic just yet. The host moves through Ithilien, and you travel to Heneth Anun, though a cautious ranger still demands that you be blindfolded before you are allowed there, much to the amusement of the rangers you have already met before the Battle of the Pelennor Fields. The hideout was created out of a cave, where once the stream above had flowed through an underground channel, which was now blocked. A path was cut down into the rock, leading to a hall behind the falls. The water fell like a thin veil over the cave mouth, which broke the sunlight into a never-ending dance of cascading colors. This was called the Window of the West. The cave itself was rough, but housed great stores and beds at its back, where the original stream once flowed. In a landing above, a winding passage went up like a turret stair to a small terrace from where the pool could be watched. Here you speak for a while with the rangers. You also find petrified trolls in the area, who were caught in the sunlight as the dawnless day ended, and free a scared Mumakil from the forest. While talking to Unborn, you also learn of a strange meeting they had in the forest a few days ago.
Suspicious of an unquenched fire in the distance, Faramir led Unborn and the rangers to a campsite where they discovered neither man nor orc. They discovered only a fire, and none nearby to tend it. It was then two small creatures leapt from the brush and raised their weapons against us. I will not soon forget those halflings, for they were bold to give Faramir such cheek. As he and the other rangers prepared a trap for the men of Harad at Cirith Negin, I spoke with the halflings for a time, and they asked much about me and my brethren. Mablung found his discussion with the halflings loudly interrupted. A great trumpet sounded as a Mumak rushed forth, and madness that slew all caught in its path. I remained with the halflings as they slept, and awaited my captain's return. Down beneath Heneth Anun in the forbidden pool, Anborn spied the Ungol creature at last, and called upon his captain and the halflings to decide its fate. The Ungol creature had come to the forbidden pool, too close to Hennifanum. The halfling told of his connection with the creature and offered to lead him to us. Bound the creature and blinded him with a hood, lest he discover the way to Hennifanum. After returning to Hennifanum, Faramir called for Anborn to escort the Ungol creature to answer for coming to the forbidden pool without permission. I goaded the Ungol creature forth to answer for his intrusion. Creature away, and he rested, but never did my eyes leave him.
On their second day after leaving Hennifanum, the forest began opening up. Great ash and oak trees stood on a green field of grass, dotted with flowers like gallandine and anemones. They slept under the branches of great oak trees, and crawled through the thorny brush that dotted the ground further south. They came upon a glade filled with great trees, their tops scarred and split from violence. In the middle of the crossroads sat the statue of a figure, which reminded the hobbits of the Argonath. Time had not been kind to it. Covered by scrawls of ugly black speech, the head of the statue was replaced with a crude round stone with a face and evil eye painted upon it. As they passed this sad sight, the hobbits noticed the original had been laying by the wayside. A small crown of silver flowers adorned its brow, and the last light of the day shone upon its kingly face. With this image, the hobbits headed for the Morgul Vale. Frodo and Sam reluctantly followed their guide. In front of them loomed the city of Minas Morgul. Its walls and towers are described as being lit with light paler than the moon, illuminating nothing. A corpse light, exhaling decay. Slowly they came to a wide bridge, jutting from a bank filled with luminous pale white flowers. Bestial carvings adorned the bridge, and the water flowing beneath it was deadly cold. Frodo, momentarily giving in to the ring's pull, almost crosses the threshold. But their road goes another way, into a gap in the rock wall, making its crooked way up the side of the valley. Having climbed up the first road, they watched the army of the Witch King march from Minas Tirith from atop a ledge. Frodo's wound stings, and after the army has passed, the hobbits clamber on. Soon they reached the straight stair, the first of the two. It was nearly as steep as a ladder, and the steps were uneven and treacherous. With heads bowed, the hobbits climb after their guide. Frodo clutches the light he has been given by Galadriel. The feeling of the cold glass soothes him. After the first stair, the hobbits walk a passage leading to another cliff, with a great ravine at its side. They had come up high now, but had to go even further. The winding stair awaited them, longer, but less difficult.
Up the stairs. And then the tunnel. Yes. This way, good hobbitses. Yes.
At the top awaited a nasty surprise, however. In the distance, between the peaks of the Avalduath, the hobbits saw the red glare of a watchtower against the dark red sky. The pass was being watched, something Gollum had failed to mention. Both hobbits felt too tired to argue, and fell asleep at the top of the stairs, Gollum listens to the banter of the hobbits for a moment, which is very accurate to the dialogue in the books, and pretends to be asleep.
That should be enough. Yes, precious. Time to slip away.
Inside his mind, Smeagol protests.
Weak! Do not listen to him!
Before Gollum continues into the tunnel. He searches for her and makes sure she's ready.
You remember poor Smeagol, yes? Not tasty, no, not tasty at all. But Smeagol, he brings you tasty foods, yes? They are almost here. A gift, yes, a gift for you. And then we will be free of our promise. And the precious will be ours. There is no other way, Smeagol. No other way.
At the crossroads, the trumpets ring loudly in every direction. Some time is taken to restore the maimed statue at the center of the crossroads to its original state. The Orcish contraptions are removed, the false head is broken, and the original head is restored to its proper place with its new crown. Finally, all the scrolls of the orcs are removed, and the king proudly sits upon the crossroads again. Gandalf counseled against a direct assault on Minas Morgul, and a guard of archers is stationed at the crossroads to prevent a southern force from assailing Aragorn from behind. Together with Gandalf, Aragorn shortly traveled to the entrance of the Morgul Vale and broke the bridge that entered into it. After burning the noisome fields surrounding the bridge, the host departed the deadly place. Many scouts travel ahead of the main force, and they inform Aragorn of an ambush of Easterlings hiding along the road. In the narrow pass of Cirith Negin, orcs move between the trees. Together with Gimli, you quietly dispatch their scouts, stealthily whispering your battle cries. The main force is quickly defeated. Too quickly. Aragorn deems it likely this ambush is meant to falsely bolster his confidence and lead him to underestimate his opponent. Their journey continues on without further issue. At the edge of the plain of Dagorlad, Aragorn sets up his camp. As they traveled northward, the Nazgûl flying overhead instill fear into some of the men, and Aragorn allows them to retreat from this march and retake the island of Caer Andros. Among these men is Lord Duinhir, still very distraught from the loss of his two sons. You find the island filled with orcs and largely destroyed. You thin the herd in advance and rescue some of the captured inhabitants. Together with Duinhir, you assault the forces on the island.
The faint-hearted that I have dismissed now wish to quell their shame by retaking the island fortress of Caer Andros for Gondor.
Working your way around, you finally retake the prow. The island has been retaken for those who once called it home, and Aragorn does not have to worry about attacks from behind anymore, and for Duinhir, he has no more need of his shame. Back at the camp, you speak with some of your Dunedain friends. Even the bravest are not immune to the dread of the upcoming task, some of them mulling over the things they have endured. But they will stand with their chieftain to whatever end. Together with one of the Dunedain, you scout the plains ahead. Luck is by your side, and you manage to follow an orc patrol into Narghost, one of the towers of the Teeth that stand beside the Black Gate. Inside the tower you learn that the orcs have orders to allow the host to march up to the Black Gate. You also find large holes in the mountains surrounding the gate, pathways for Sauron's armies to crawl through. You close some of them before heading back. After some time, you ride with Aragorn towards the Slag Hills and challenge the Dark Lord. Battered and bruised, Sam emerged from the cleft. The many-eyed giant put back in her place. His master has been taken, and he now carries the full brunt of his burden. With each step, the ring tries to manipulate his mind. A few orcs rush by and fall dead, shot by invisible archers high above. Sam dashes up to the gate, but he cannot seem to pass. Thinking quickly, he draws the vial of Galadriel. As he steps over the threshold, a scream erupts from the gate. He's done it now. He's rung the doorbell. Inside the tower, everything seems awfully quiet. Corpses litter the ground. The first orc Sam sees runs away as soon as he lays his eyes on him. Emboldened, Sam runs up the stairs of the tower and onto the ladder leading to the upper room. On the parapet, Captain Shagrat emerges. He searches for another orc, Gorbak, and strikes him down, and calls for any survivors. When you confront him, he flees with his loot down the tower. Up in the top room, the orc Sam saw at the first staircase is whipping his master. After a short fight, the orc flees, falls down the ladder, and breaks his neck. There lies Frodo, naked atop this evil tower. The hobbits caught their breath outside, leaning against a rock wall, as the piercing shriek of the Nazgul rent the air. There was no time to recuperate. The hunt would soon begin. They descended down a cutting which held them from view of the tower. The Waymeet was still quiet, but it would not last long. Not even their orcish disguises would protect them from scrutiny if they were caught running away from the tower. Down a ramp and onto the bridge they ran, spanning a deep ravine between the inner and outer reaches of the Ebal Duath. They had almost reached the furthest end, when they heard the sounds they feared worst. Ironclad shoes rushing along the road ahead of them. Thinking on their feet, the two hobbits leapt over the parapet of the bridge, onto the ridges of the Morgai, which had almost reached up to the level of the bridge itself. A bitter fortune smiled upon them, as they pulled the inch-long thorns out of their clothes, thorns from the brushes that had cushioned their dozen-foot drop. Slowly they moved through the rumbling rocks and thorny bushes towards the bottom of the valley. Soon they abandoned their disguises and wrapped themselves in elven cloaks, as the orcish mail was too heavy for Frodo to bear. Resting under a boulder, they gaze up at the dark sky. A westward wind tears at the edges of the dark clouds, and a lone scream is heard. Though they know it not, the Witch King is no more. The next day they clambered up the steep edges of the Morgai and looked over the plains of Gorgoroth. The camps stretched for miles. In the distance the Orodruin bellowed smoke. There was no way down here. They had to continue northward. Soon they came by an orc camp, which they had already guessed was nearby due to the small stone walls popping up along the road. They sneak by it, keeping themselves hidden in the thorny brush. They were passed by 2 orc trackers, who left after an argument. More insidious was the presence of Gollum, who Sam had surmised was still alive. They would have to keep watch at night. Coming to the northern end of the valley, they would have to take the open road. To the east, the road bent towards the old castle of Durthang. To the north, the Epel Duath stretched out to meet the Ered Lithui and formed the plateau of Udun, filled with the forges of the enemy. To the west, the path went down to a seemingly empty plain, but watched by the Karach Angren, the Ice and Mouth. While dire, this last road would lead closer to their goal. So there was nothing for it.
We have come to the very doorstep of Mordor to challenge the Dark Lord Sauron. There can be no turning back now.
So you stand before the Black Gate, in this strange company of allies, to meet your fate. Some here were predestined. For some, even the wisest would not have guessed their journey would take them here. Most you would call friends. Some are now called king. Aragorn calls for Sauron to reveal himself and answer for his deeds. After a silence, a small company emerges from the gate. The messenger Dulgabeth, or the mouth of Sauron, a black Númenórean. He rejects Aragorn's authority and attempts to demoralize the party by showing Frodo his mail shirt and cloak. He names Sauron's terms. All armies must retreat, and all lands east of the Anduin become Sauron's forever. All lands to the west may no longer bear arms, and a lieutenant of Sauron's choosing will rule from Isengard, which must be rebuilt. It is clear this messenger has a mind who should be put in this position. Quickly, Gandalf blinds the messenger while you pick up the belongings of your friend. The terms are rejected, and the Black Gate opens. And so the battle is joined. Around 6,000 soldiers of the West, against as much as 10 times that amount. The defense centers itself on the 2 slag hills, surrounded on all sides. Arrows fly and screams erupt all around, and many fall. You make your way between the 2 hills, supporting and delivering messages where you can. You manage to save Reeve Ingbert, who is hard-pressed by enemies. Pippin is guarded by Beregrond, 2 guards of the citadel standing together in their duty. As you take your leave from them, King Eomer is wounded, though not dangerously at the moment. Making your way across the gap again, you find Legolas, Gimli and Aragorn still in good health, though injuries are mounting. Nazgûl sweep through the host, picking up soldiers left and right and dropping them to their deaths. One of your Dúnedain friends is caught, taken up, and let go. You find him crushed upon the battlefield. Together with Golaskil, you try to find some archers to fend off these beasts, but he too is taken by one of the trolls. Up on the hill, Pippin appears to be crushed under the weight of a great battle troll he slew.
The halfling! He saved my life!
Hope slowly fades away, as the image of the mithril shirt in the dark hands of the mouth of Sauron crosses your mind. Had Frodo really been captured? Has it all been for nothing?
Be ready their final assault! Stand tall, men of Gondor and Rohan! Stand tall, men of the North!
You have fought well and bravely, my friends, but our time is nearly at its end. It has been an honor to fight alongside you. We must keep fighting until we no longer can. No one is coming to save us, for who could? We are on our own.
The hobbits woke in a shallow pit. They had managed to escape the orc company that had flagged them as deserters by dropping over the high curb of the road during a scuffle between the two orc companies at the Waymeet before the Carach Angren. They had slept in uneasy fits, but now had to plot their way to the smoke-belching mountain in the distance. The broken flats provided a strange sort of cover for the hobbits. They moved between broken stones and cracks in the land. Sam, supporting his master, had now realized full well their supplies would not enable a return journey. After a day of marching through the flats, Sam risked the open roads again during daytime. Frodo would not last until the mountain otherwise. This was a fortunate choice, as the hobbits came along cisterns built by the orcs. The water was muddy, but potable. On this and their elvish waybread they survived, finally turning south towards the mountain on the third day after their escape from Carach Angren. For this trek they threw away the last of their baggage in a fissure. A shield, an orc sword, and the cooking equipment that had provided the stewed rabbit in Ithilien. The last march was the worst terror Sam had ever endured. Parched and choked by the fumes in the air, every part of his body hurt. And yet they carried on. To the foot of the mountain they carried on. And when Frodo could not anymore, Sam carried him. Fear of death would not stop him, nor the shining eyes in the dark at night. But those eyes would not wait any longer.
Gollum caught up to us on the slope of Mount Doom, and Sam stayed behind to deal with him while I entered the mountain, eager to be rid of the ring. But Sam, dear Sam, could not bring himself to slay the wretched creature. He let him go. And so it was that Gollum followed Sam into the mountain.
I am here, but now I choose not to do what I came to do. I will not destroy it. The ring is mine! Master, no! Frodo!
Fate had one more surprise in store. As Pippin lay delirious on the ground, he knew not whether he was still in Mordor or back with Bilbo in the Shire.
The eagles are coming! The eagles are coming!
He heard. As he had done in the Battle of the Five Armies long ago, Gwaihir, Lord of the Eagles, had come. With renewed spirit, you fight on, until...
The Nazgûl flee from battle? What can this mean? Sauron has summoned them back to Mordor. Why?
Stand, men of the West! This is the hour! The Ring-Bearer has completed his quest! Why here to me? Mordor shakes beneath Orodruin's wrath. Fly swiftly, my friend. If Frodo or Samwise still live, we have to find them quickly.
The mountain burns. I will circle to the far side, but someone must search the nearest loop, and with haste.
That is a task for my adventurer. We will circle Orodruin and come back for you. May one of us find our hobbits.
You are set down between roaring fires and burning rocks. Amidst the clouds, the mountain seems to have turned inside out. You search between the old ruins and crags of the Mountain of Doom. Treading on this black land you would have never thought to enter. But there is no time to consider that for long. Frantically you run across the hills, until you spot two small figures in the distance. Broken, tired, triumphant. After all this time, you reunite with the two hobbits. With Galadriel's light, you signal to Gandalf.
The ring was destroyed. Gwaihir and his kin braved the great peril of the skies and carried our heroes from the wreck of the burning mountain. And on the Field of Cormallen, they were praised for their great deeds and the successful completion of the quest. The Lord of the Rings was no more, and Middle-earth was made safer by his defeat.
In the Field of Cormallen, in the woods of Ithilien, the Fellowship completed itself again for the first time since the breaking at Amon Hen. Endless rows of Gondorian and Rohirric soldiers gathered together between the idyllic trees on the grass plain under a blue sky. You had almost forgotten. The fumes are gone. Sam and Frodo have their own bower at the edge of the field where they can rest in quiet peace. You are relieved to find King Eomer has survived and seems to be in good health. From Gimli you learn that he removed the troll body from Pippin, and though that little hobbit has caused him quite a lot of grief, he is very happy that he survived the ordeal. During a quiet moment you speak with a tired Frodo. He relays the happenings inside the mountain to you.
When the ring went into the fire, the power of Sauron went with it. His works were unmade, and he was undone. Were it not for Gollum, the quest would have failed. After coming so far, after enduring so much, after the sacrifices and the suffering of so many friends, when at last I stood at the crack of doom, I could not do it. I chose not to destroy the ring. How can I bear the shame of it? I let them down. I let everyone down.
In this small moment of despair, you tell Frodo that what little you learned of the ring during your own adventures has taught you that it was an artifact of great power and evil, and that it could work temptation upon even those of good hearts and strong will. Frodo eases up a bit. though you guess the burden he carried will not lift its weight from his shoulders for at least a while after. But luckily, he will not be alone. As Gandalf assures, no one could have willingly destroyed it. You leave Frodo to rest, and together with Gandalf you walk back into the light and speak with him one more time. Frodo has earned his rest. His adventure has ended, and yet Middle-earth still has need of you. Gondor will need you, as will others among the free peoples, dwarves, elves, and hobbits. Be ready for their call, my friend. A great evil of the world has departed, but there are others that will need heroes to face them. And do not face them alone. Some measure of the strength of Sauron was bound to his ring, but much of his strength was derived from his mastery over the weak, and the weak of will. I foresee that some of those freed from his dominance will seek to gain advantage from his fall. The shroud over Gorgoroth is a veil that must be pierced if Middle-earth is to live free from fear. Frodo will write the tale of his adventure, but the next adventure will be yours alone to write. My own time on these shores is drawing to a close, for my purpose is ended. You look at him with the dawning understanding that his charge was to combat Sauron, and now that the Dark Lord is defeated, the wizard must leave Middle-earth. Oh, do not look at me like that, foolish one. I am not leaving tomorrow. I will not depart until I know things are well in hand, and your people have not yet proven that they are able to manage on their own. Do not try to deny it. I know all your long history, and if there are bright spots, there are shadows too. Speaking to me as if I do not know what the elves have gotten up to over the ages. He stands there spluttering for a moment. There's a twinkle in his eye when he speaks again. I will say this to you, and it will be my last word on the subject. As for this business with the ring, I commend you on a job well done, my dear friend. Very well done, indeed. Thank you very much for watching. With this video, my quest too has finally come to its end. 2.5 years ago I started uploading videos to this channel. They were still called the best details of back then. As time went on, I figured what I really wanted was to show how delicately every detail I could find in the books was present in the game. Who knows how long LOTRO will last? But I can rest a bit easier knowing that the work done by all the developers who have worked on this marvelous digital love letter to Middle-earth has been captured somewhere. I won't say this is the end, as there are at least 2 big videos I still really want to make. They'll take some time to complete, so it might be quiet for a while. One of them is sort of a supercut of the entire journey. The other I'll keep a secret for now. After that, I don't yet know. If you've followed me for a while, you'll know that I'm not that great at following schedules. We'll see where the road leads from here. For now, thanks again for watching these past years, and see you next time.